Hey, welcome everybody. Whoa, a little bit of feedback there. All right, now that we've got the screaming, howling mechanical sounds out of the way, let's welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 231. Today is the 10th of April, 2019. Thanks for joining us live. If you're here live, if not, and you're catching the replay, thanks for watching. And if you're watching somewhere else, you can always go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions to get your questions answered. You can ask them live, you can ask them ahead of time, just ask your questions and we'll get to them. So before we dive into some more announcements and get into the questions, I'm going to say hi to everybody real quick. Let's start on the left with Chris. How you doing?
Doing good. Just packing up the bags here, leaving the city.
Very nice. Where are you going, Chris?
Indonesia.
That's awesome. Have a good trip, man.
Thank you. I will. Can't wait, actually.
Yeah, man.
And I actually, from what I heard, I'm going to meet one or two of the Semantic Mastery people there. So we'll see. Excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Good times.
Cool. Well, yeah, if you're going or in Indonesia, then hit Chris up and chat him up while you're there. Hernan, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Excited to be here. Some really cool stuff coming up. So I'm doing good. Life's good.
Good deal. Do you have a Semantic Mastery shirt on, or is that not?
Oh, no, I might, or I might not. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Marco, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's up?
Can't complain. Nice day here.
I can't say it's sunny anymore.
Ah.
Rainy season just kicked in, like today. It's storming outside.
And probably what, still like 65, 70?
Yeah, and between 70 and 80, somewhere around there. That's all year.
Oh man. Well, Bradley.
But anyway, things are good. I've been deep in the lab, by the way. I'm cooking up some monster shit. As I said last time, I'm about to turn the SEO world on its ear once again. So it's time, right? It's been about 4 years since RYS Academy Reloaded. Wouldn't it be like wicked if August of 2019 something were to happen? I'm just saying.
Gotcha. Sorry, got distracted by Hernan sending me chats in Slack. So sorry about that. Bradley, how you doing?
There's something. I'm sorry. I just want to say that I just got my account also blocked. So there might be something wonky going on with the Facebook comments. So I don't know.
Super.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
So time to move on then. So that's the third person. So yeah, live we'll try to figure this out on it. We'll try to get.
Hey, for those of you that, I was going to say, those of you that are getting your accounts blocked, leave a message us and state that you're also getting screwed by Facebook, but you won't be able to now, will you? I had my account mysteriously yesterday. I wasn't even doing anything. I just had Facebook open and it prompted me that it noticed suspicious activity. I wasn't even doing anything. And then it said, you must re-verify your account, which I had to do. Apparently, Adam's got blocked. Now, Hernan's got blocked. So, I don't know. The Facebook gods are mad right now, apparently.
Yeah, they are. I'm already in. Like, I'm back on. I did some security checking and I'm in. But yeah, and I don't know. We might need to start sending us notes or something, for the comments. We'll send that over to Bradley's house and they can read them.
We'll send out postcards the week before and then just ship them over.
There you go.
You guys just mail in your questions.
All right. Well, last but not least, Bradley, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here. We got a lot of stuff coming up. So a couple things that I would like to talk about very quickly before we get into questions is the video lead gen system training is being updated. I've spent a lot of time on it this week already, just kind of organizing and recording videos and updating the slides and all that stuff for the 2019 update, and for kind of the more streamlined process that I've developed for it, which makes it a lot easier, a lot more efficient, and a lot of it can be outsourced. And it's working really well. I've been able to get a lot of good conversations going with prospects, and it can be applied to monetizing lead gen assets as well as for client outreach. Like if you just want to sell traditional agency marketing services, it works really well. And it's a hell of a lot more efficient than what the original method was that I used that worked incredibly well, but there was a lot of wasted time. And I talk about this a lot in the training, but for every 10 video emails that I used to send out, I would get 3 to 4 responses like clockwork every damn time. But the videos that I would record, I would just go find prospects, you know, from doing research online that I wanted to work with. And then I would just do, and a lot of you that have been through the training or have heard me talk about it in the past, I would do like a video audit of their digital presence and explain how they were missing opportunities. You don't ever criticize, but you do talk about like, hey, you did good here. This is nice, but you're missing out on opportunities because of this, 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 and this. And typically my video audits would be about 10 to 15 minutes long. So you can imagine if you're doing 10 of those, and it takes a little bit of time to find the prospect that you're going to audit, and then to record the video, and then, you know, kind of wind down and go to the next one. You know, it would take 2.5, 3 hours to record 10 videos of 15 minutes each. You know, easy 2.5 to 3 hours. And if only 3 or 4 of them would respond, then there was 6 or 7 of them that we would record, or I would record, that were not being seen or not being replied to, period. So it was wasted effort. And so I kind of went back to the drawing board this year to determine how I, you know, to fix that, to solve that, to make it more efficient, because that's what we try to teach you guys, is to be more efficient. So this newer method is so much more efficient, and it's so much easier. And I've even learned some things along the way since I've been testing this newer method that originally I'd set out to do one particular way and thinking, oh, this is going to be so much more efficient. And it certainly was. But then I found there was still ways to make that even more efficient. And I talk about that in the training. And it's just a much more efficient process now, especially because you can have a VA do a lot of the heavy lifting type stuff so that you don't have to be doing that yourself. And so now to do 15 or 20 videos, you know, specific prospecting videos can literally be done in an hour's time, which that might sound impossible, but it's the way that I'm doing it now is it makes it to where it's so much faster. And the other part of that is I've learned to not actually record the specific prospect videos until we get a positive reply or get a dialogue going with them. So it's now there's no wasted effort on actually creating the videos for a prospect until you've actually got their permission essentially to send them a video. And so I can't reveal all of it here, obviously, guys, but that's coming out in 2 weeks from today, really, or tomorrow, or yesterday, I guess. We're going to be launching that again. So be on the lookout for that. Those of you that are doing lead gen stuff or client work and you want a more effective way to outreach for prospecting, this is definitely going to help you. It's how I really built my agency to begin with.
Yeah, 100% recommend you checking that out. And it works across industries, different areas. I mean, that's an incredible result. I've talked about this before. I think, Bradley, when you mentioned it, you know, you nonchalantly say, yeah, I get, you know, 3 or 4 responses out of 10 emails I send. And for anyone who's done this, you know that just blows anything else out of the water. Most cold emailing, people are getting like literally 1% maybe of like positive responses. So to be getting 30 to 40% is just insane. So good stuff. I've done it. I've learned a lot from the way Bradley does it and added up some bells and whistles on the way I like it. But man, if you're not already using this stuff, definitely keep your eyes and ears open for the video lead gen system update.
Cool. So
All
the
right.
other thing we had as far as announcements that I'm aware of is we have some new services available in MGYB. Marco, you want to chat about what we've got available right now?
We've got basically everything available, right? We went and added link building, indexing, embeds. We're adding, that's still only available to the mastermind, isn't it? The done for you GMB services. It will be rolled out, right?
Yes. Right now, that's just the mastermind. We're doing several different off-page GMB services that are done for you now. It's our team, our methods. It's our team doing our methods to our specifications, and we've got an overall off-page package, and then we've got each component of that overall off-page package separated out that can be purchased as individual services for those of you that don't need everything but just need parts of it. And so we're rolling. We've rolled that out to our mastermind now. We're getting all of the fulfillment and delivery process smoothed out. And as soon as we're done with that, we're going to offer it to you guys publicly in MGYB as well. So that was it. We're good.
Yeah, pretty much. Just wanted to tell everyone, if you're joining us live, that's great. This is the place to be. If you've got questions, like I said, you can ask live. You can ask ahead of time if you can't make it live, whether you got a call, client call, you're busy, you're working, whatever. That's one way to do it. And the place to start is also at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. That's where you want to get some, repeatable results in a lot of areas. You want to dive deeper into stuff like keyword research, how to work with age domains, new domains, all that, and a whole lot more. And if you're ready to start or you want to grow your existing local digital marketing agency, come join us in the Semantic Mastery Mastermind. And we made that, of course, nice and easy to find. That's at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And like Bradley and Marco were just mentioning, head over to mgyb.co for your done-for-you solutions.
And we still have the Syndication Academy networks. We still have the RYS Reloaded, everything up to Semantic Mastery standards. What we've done is we've brought everything under our own roof, right, under our control, so that it can be kept up to our specifications and our standards. It's what we use. And you guys, if you've seen the stuff that we do, and just go to the groups. I mean, take a shot. There's a money back guarantee anyway, by the way, on joining any of the groups, right? Join the groups or take advantage of one of the special options you can get in for $1 for 7 days, and ask the people who are in the groups. Don't listen to me, right? Don't listen to me, because Marco's full of shit. Let's just say Marco's full of shit. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Fine. Go to our groups and ask, hey, who in here is getting results? And you're going to see that people will start chiming in. Some of them will keep quiet, but I know who's getting results, right? Because I talk to them on a regular basis. But guys, it's what we do on a day-to-day basis, what we use. We just go to our store. Why else would we set it up if we don't use it? We're known for drinking our own Kool-Aid, right? That's who we are. And so it's at mgyb.co. Anything and everything that you need to just kill it on the web is right there. And besides, if you join one of the groups, the higher you go up the ladder, the closer you get to us, and just us being with you every step of the way and trying to help you go ahead and get to where you want to be.
That's it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Real quick, Bradley, before we jump in, if you got a copy of the battle plan, if you haven't, go get it. But if you do, we updated the links inside the battle plan, so that now when you click on the link building side of things and everything, it should take you to to MGYB and the different packages. So we updated that last week. So
cool. All right, so it looks apparently, guys, we're gonna have to do something about this. Because this obviously questions are getting duplicated, and I don't know if that's the stupid Facebook app or what, but anyway.
Yeah, we've already got a replacement hunted down. We're going to test it out in the coming week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm seeing questions posted twice for a couple people, and there ought to be more questions than this right now. I'm assuming it's anyways, let's just move on. Jeff's up first. He says, I would like to use IFTTT for an account that has social accounts created by another SEO agency. We no longer have access to those properties. Is it okay to create a new ring? Yeah, it is. If you can't, the only thing that sucks is obviously if you had the cherry subdomains for all the different accounts that that was your brand name for that company, you're going to have to modify it slightly, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. If you can't access those properties, then yeah, absolutely, just create another ring. Set up a new set of accounts with a slightly modified version of the username for each one of the accounts, so that you can at least make it still as very much close to the brand as possible. We've had to do that, for example, for like a tree service company that has tree service in the name, like I've had to have it changed to tree services or tree service Inc. or tree service co, like CO for company, or something like that. And that may be what you have to do. You could also potentially work, depending on what kind of business it is, you could potentially work in like a location name, like the city name, and as well as the company name, or even a product or service that the company, whatever their primary product or service is, perhaps work one of those words in along with the brand name so that there's that association made. But yes, you can do that. Again, it's if you can't access those existing accounts, what else could you do, really, except create a new ring? So yes, absolutely, you can do that, Jeff. Kevin says, what is the best keyword density analyzer tool? Well, honestly, what I've used, Kevin, that's a good question. All I've ever used, which I really don't worry about keyword density so much anymore, except for if I'm reading through a piece of content that I had written If I feel like there's too many uses of a keyword, I'm worried about over density. I don't really worry so much about hitting specific numbers for keyword density anymore. We used to worry about that, but the algorithm is so much more advanced now. Google understands natural language patterns and and natural language, excuse me, so much better now that it's really unnecessary to try to hit specific keyword densities. If the content is written well, Google will understand what the content is about, regardless of repeating certain keywords over and over again, right? And so I don't really worry about keyword density at all anymore, unless I feel like a keyword is overused in a piece of content, at which point I will test it. And there's a tool that I've been using for years now, since one of the, I think maybe Panda 3 or Panda 4, it was around 2014, where I really started using this at the time, because back then we did try to hit certain keyword density numbers, right? And I think it was Panda 3 or Panda 4 or one of those in that time frame, and I don't know why it's being so slow. The site might be having an issue. SEOcentro.com. Yeah, apparently that's great. So now there's no connection. Are you guys still hearing me?
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Seeing you screen.
I just want to make sure it wasn't my internet that was screwing up. But okay, so I was going to show this to you, but SEOcentro.com, that's what I had been using. Like I said, back around 2013 or 14-ish, we had tried to hit specific numbers, and then all of a sudden one of the Panda updates caused a lot of the sites that I had built, like lead gen sites and client sites, to drop down in the rankings. I didn't get penalized, but I dropped, a page 10, 15 spots, somewhere around there. And so after consulting with some of the, my colleagues and such, I found that there was another magic number, and it was to try to keep your density under a specific threshold. And at the time it was 2% for 2-word keywords. No, I'm sorry. For 1-word keywords, it was 2%. Try to stay under 2%. Try to stay under 1% for 2-word keywords, and try to stay under 0.2% for 3-word keyword phrases. And so SEO Centro, which apparently is a broken site right now. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not loading right now, guys. So it might be.
It's down for everyone. I checked.
Okay. Well, that was the only tool that I would use, and there was a keyword density checker on that. It was one of the tools of SEO Centro. And again, I haven't used it in months, and probably even a year, if that. But there was a keyword density where you would just take the published page that you wanted to check, and you would add it, put it in the search field or whatever, and hit go, and it would analyze the entire page, and it would show you the words in 1 words, 2 words, and 3 words, the phrases that it determined were keywords. And so it would get a lot of random stuff in there that didn't make sense, but it would show you the percentages, and that was a good tool for it. And the reason why I liked that tool, now obviously it looks like we might have to find another one, but you could probably do some searches and find one. The reason I like that tool better than, for example, a lot of times people would write their content and try to hit specific densities based upon an SEO plugin, like Yoast, for example, inside of a WordPress dashboard. But you would, a lot of people didn't take into consideration the fact that Yoast was only analyzing the keywords within the post body of that post or page, right? So the article body of that post or page. It didn't show you the keyword density of what the published page had, because remember, you've got keywords in your site header, your navigation, your main navigation menu, your sidebar, your footer, your widget, your widget areas. Like those are all potential places. Your images, your alt text, all of that kind of stuff could also contain keywords. And so people would optimize their content based upon what the plugin was telling them, which was just the keyword density of the article body of that page or post. And then but if you were to analyze the published page, which included all of those other elements, they were way over optimized. And so it was misleading. And that's part of the reason why way back in, for many, many years, I've said, don't use the WordPress plugins as a way to determine, especially like Yoast tells you like optimization tips. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because again, there's a lot of things that it doesn't take into consideration. I guess for somebody that is, just a blogger and doesn't know anything about SEO or something like that, there may be some value to that. But as an SEO or somebody that is learning or doing SEO, those are not, I would never recommend going by those guidelines. So do one of you guys have another tool besides SEO Centro? Because apparently that's broken.
No, that's the one I reached to.
Yeah, and if not, then definitely probably just do a search for something similar to that. So long as it's looking at the right places, I'm sure there's several out there, but that was the one I used to use.
Yeah. So again, guys, our friend Google, I would just do a keyword density checker, right? And then just scroll through some of these and see. Online keyword density tool. See something like that. That's what I would check. SEMrush does it too, by the way. That's not free, obviously. But yeah, I mean, here's an example. Now I have not used this one, so I don't know if it's any good, but I like these type of SEO density or keyword density checkers over the plugins because of what I just mentioned. It will analyze the entire published page and all of the elements of that page. Does that make sense? So there you go. Moving on. Ken Roberts says, okay, Ken, I answered you in the Facebook group, but I'll answer this for everybody else's benefit. He says, how do I take an address off a GMB? I don't see an option to designate it as a service area business. There used to be a checkbox if it was a service business. Where is it now? Well, what you do now as a service area business is once you get your GMB verified, like if you're doing it manually, you'll get a postcard most of the time. Or if you're purchasing it and you get it delivered and it's a service area business. But what you want to do is go into the info tab, right? So the left-hand sidebar, you click on info, and then where the map pin icon is, which shows the address of the business, you click that to edit it. And the pop-up window comes up, and then there's a link, a blue text link inside that pop-up window that says clear address. You click the clear address button and then you click save or update, whatever the button says. And then you add your service area, which is the next section underneath that where the physical address showed. That's the next section on the info tab that you can edit. And that's where you set your service areas. So all you do, like I said, it's going to show your address until it's verified. And if it's a service area business, the way that you make it a service area business is before you start adding your service areas, you go in to edit the physical address, and then you click the clear address button and then save it. Okay. Okay. Mayank is up. He says, hey guys, so I'm setting up a membership site where every article that I post, around 25% of it would be available for reading for everybody or everyone, excuse me. And the rest would be restricted so that only paid members can read the whole article. Question is it possible to SEO and get good rankings for such pages, considering that most of the page's content is going to be restricted? Mike, I don't know because I've never done any of that kind of stuff. Marco, that's more up your alley. Like, is there a way to hide the content to where Google still recognizes it, but the reader does not?
Yeah, of course there is. But it's not something that I would share here.
Okay. Well, there you go. I can't help you with that anyways. I really don't do that kind of stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, you're getting into iffy territory, right? Delivering one content to the search engine and another content to the user. Well, that's cloaking, and Google doesn't really like that.
That's true.
You have to be really careful when you get into shit like that. But yeah, of course, there's ways you can code it all the way. You can I'll go as far as giving you that. You can code it so that Google is served one set of content and the user another set of content.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as far as like, there's content gates or view gates essentially, and I think that's what you're talking about. Like, there's social media plugins that will do that kind of stuff, like hide content until you like or share or something like that. But I don't know if that hides the content from Google from seeing it or not. It obviously hides it from the user. But I would be worried, like, trying to do something that could they still see the content if they did right-click view page source? You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know, because I've never really looked into that, Mike. So I'm sorry I can't help you with that. Guy says, do you have a suggestion for replacing the Easy Local Cache software that is being deprecated? Yeah, he's got an online version of it now. So, Guy, we've shared that in several of the groups. It's an online version. It doesn't work quite the same. But, again, it's his software. It was never ours to begin with. So does anybody have the link for that? I think it's Easy Local Cache something or another. Let me just see if I can find it for you. Just a second. Yeah, it's easylocalcache.com/software.html. No, maybe that's not it. Here it is. This is it. Software.easylocalcache.com. That's what it is. Guys, again, this is not our software, so it works differently than what the desktop did. Chad Kimball's software, I understand why he did what he did. And so if you want to use this one, have at it. We were talking about potentially developing one ourselves, but it doesn't look like we're going to. So I know Peter Drew has got softwares in his tool suite now that will do something very similar to that, but it's a paid tool suite. So it's not something that's going to be offered for free. So unfortunately, you're stuck with that for now. Or you can just do, for example, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I know of right now. We talked about potentially doing it ourselves, but I don't think we're going to. So try that, guys. See if that helps you out. All right, moving on. Frankie's up. He says, what's up, Frankie? He says, hey, guys, when running multiple PPC campaigns, how do you combine all the negative keywords from different accounts and different campaigns if you need to create a new campaign with a master negative keyword list? I can't seem to find any tool or shortcut on how to combine all the keywords into one spreadsheet and remove all the duplicates. Can you share how to do it? Thanks as always. Yeah, I don't know of any tools that will, that you can connect to all of your accounts that will extract the data. But the way that I would do it is just download the negative keyword list, which you can do from inside the AdWords or the Google Ads dashboard. And then you're going to get a separate spreadsheet for each, but then you just like literally copy and paste, all into a master sheet, right? So in one of the Excel documents, or you could even do it in Google Sheets, but it'll be a little bit slower. If you do it in Excel, then you can just copy and paste all of them into one master sheet and then just use remove duplicates. I know that's kind of a pain in the ass because it's manual, but that's how I would do it. Also, if you're using the Google Ads software, the desktop software, which you can download, they just updated it again. Then you can connect all of your accounts that you manage into that Google Ads desktop software. What do they call it? The Google Ads, I can't remember the name of the software now off the top of my head. But anyways, you can download the software, which makes it easy to do bulk edits and things like that. And then you could it would make it easier than having to log in all of your different accounts to download that spreadsheet of your negative keyword list. So again, it's still a manual process as far as I know. Maybe somebody else knows of a better solution, but I don't. Okay. Also, that's part of the reason, Frankie, it's good to have a VA, because that's something you could task a VA with, right? Even if you were the one going in and downloading all the sheets, you could send that over to a VA. And by the way, I just had to I just put a job posting on Upwork for an Excel nerd, somebody that's an Excel specialist or a Microsoft Access specialist, because I got some work that I'm doing that requires stuff that's way above my pay grade when it comes to Excel. And so I just posted a job over there for Upwork, and you can find people, for $10, $12 an hour that are super proficient in that kind of stuff. So maybe you could hire somebody like that. I'm sure it would be a really quick, easy job for somebody that knows what they're doing. Okay. Looks like we're almost out of questions, but that's probably because of this stupid app. Let me refresh. Yeah, there's a couple more. Cool. All right, cool. So, yeah, Jay Turner. Are there any benefits to making? It looks like we lost one. Maybe not. Oh, there's Jordan Fowler posted at SEOreviewtools.com keyword density checker. Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate that. I wanted to like it. Oh shit! It signed me out. Are you serious? Wow. Unbelievable. Love this Facebook app, guys. Fucking love it. All right. Well, I can't comment anymore. So Jay Turner says, are there any benefits to making a small blog post canonical over to the same content on a much broader topic page with the jump link to that section being the link in the canonical tag? Yeah, I would say so. There's some really powerful stuff yes. Yeah. Just short answer. Yes, Jay, there is some benefit to that. Okay. What's cool about that is if it's canonical, if Google honors the canonical, then the blog post won't actually index. I mean, Google will know it but it won't index. And then you can do some pretty cool things to that blog post, which will kind of hide it from prying eyes. So yes, that's, again, short answer is yes. Paul Quiggle says, hey guys, I noticed when you type in Google things to do in your town, a knowledge graph comes up with different types of activities. I have a client that is wanting to create a workshop style class in his city and wants organic traffic from that source. What is the best way to get included into that list? Schema. You have to have proper schema markup. There are people that teach that kind of stuff. You could also just try to do some extensive, research throughout by just doing simple Google searches to try to find out how to do that. I don't, I haven't done any of that stuff yet, but there are Ryan Rodden, he could probably do that, right? Sure he could. Let me see if we've got. Okay. So Ryan Rodden was a mastermind member for quite some time. I don't think he's with us anymore, but he does a lot of schema stuff. And he may be able to help you. He does it, you can hire him. So he's got schema code order. You can also hire him on like a consultant basis to kind of help you code stuff out. You might want to even just pay him for an hour of his time to teach you how to do that. I don't know if he'd be willing to do that, but this is somebody that I could recommend is probably would be able to help you to do that. I know, again, like I said, some of the people that, some colleagues, some of the other SEO groups out there, there are people that have taught that. It's not something I know how to do because I have not done that. But it all comes down to schema. If you publish content on your site and you mark it up properly, Google will come use that and include it in that type of a thing. For example, a lot of times, guys, if and I've done training about this, question and answer posts are great for blogs, and it's great for SEO. And how do I know that? Well, if you ask certain questions into Google, you notice right in the SERPs, there's accordion menus, like drop-down menus that have the questions with a little down arrow pointing, and they're in groups usually of three to 5 questions. And if you click on one of the questions, it reveals the answer, which is just a snippet that it pulled from one of the search results that are listed on that page, right? And so that's how you get included in those Q&A boxes, by proper markup. And there's Q&A, by the way, schema markup for that. And in fact, Jordan Fowler was pointing out that recently in our mastermind. But there's what's cool about that is every time you click one of those questions to reveal the answer, it makes that box that has the questions in it like expand to include even more related questions. And each time you click it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, all it's doing is it's sourcing the answers from other web properties that have the proper markup and that Google has determined are authoritative in that particular topic. So that's why I've talked about that being very powerful to use as blog type content. And if you can create an original answer to those types of questions and mark it up properly, you can get included in those boxes. But even just for SEO purposes, if you go collect or scrape those questions, compile them, and then even use for curating you guys probably should know that we teach to curate content because it's the most efficient way to produce content without having to be a subject matter expert. Then you can even curate those questions and answers and create blog posts that are where you group similar questions and answers and you just link out to the content sources and Google gives you all that information right there in those Q&A boxes. Right. And then you can actually create original posts where you just inject a little bit of commentary in between the curated sections. And that makes great content for the blog as well as for GMB posts. So anyways, I can't drop this link on there, guys, because Facebook just blocked me for whatever reason from our own app. But schema, SKEEMA.pro. If that answers your question, I would go check out Ryan Rodden for some help if you want like specific help. Otherwise, just do some searches for how to get what was it? Events, how to get event schema, like eventschema.org or something like that is what I would search. And you could probably find some specific articles about that. Okay. That was a good question. In fact, I'm just curious really quickly. Let's see, event schema. So there's the schema.org on that. See, this is what I was talking about. These questions right here. These are exactly what I'm talking about. And see, when you click on that, how it expands even more. It starts adding even more questions, and it'll just keep going on and on and on. So there you go. And event rich snippet schema creator, SEO chat tools. Look at that. Right there's a tool for that. There's plugins. Those plugins typically don't work all that well. At least they didn't used to, but maybe they do. Look, this is event steal or JSON LD. I don't know. But there you go. There you go. Just do a simple Google search and start doing some research. This looks like a schema markup generator for events. So you might even want to try that and see if, and then go validate it, right? So fill this stuff out, copy the code, go over to the Google structured data tool, paste it in, make sure that it validates. If it validates, then use that code on your web page, your event page. Okay, something else you might want to try is you could try this too. This is Google's own tool, the Google Structured Data Markup Helper. So again, just go to Google and search Structured Data Markup Helper, and this is Google's own tool. And look at that, guys. There's an events thing right there. So what you do is you can put your URL in there, and then this tool will add structured data markup to a sample web page. So you can put your event page in there that you've already published, whether it has the code or not. And then Google's markup helper will allow you to like highlight certain elements of the page, and it will tell you how to mark it up. So like, for example, the day and time, for example, or the location, like you highlight that section, and then Google's markup helper tool will tell you how to mark it up correctly. Does that make sense? So again, this is Google's own tool here. Any input on that, guys? Or is that good enough?
That was perfect.
Okay, sweet. Can't believe they kicked me out of Facebook comments for this during the webinar. It's ridiculous. I don't want to use this anymore. All right, next one. Yeah, Scott said it's not loading. Thanks, Scott. We got that. Let's see. That's a duplicate question. Greg's got a duplicate question. Yeah, it's this stupid app. Anyways, Jay says, is there any advantage to making a or several brief blog posts canonical? Oh shit, that's the same question too. It just looks like it's filled out a little bit more. Okay, I'll answer the second part of this, Jay. Was thinking about doing the above to drip feed and push out blog post content to the syndication networks in order to get the page more links from the syndication network. Yeah, that should work. Again, that should work. We might have to wrap it up early, guys. I'm tired of this app, like already. I'm frustrated with it. It looks like we don't have any more questions anyways, and I'm sure it's because people are having issues. But
Yeah.
Greg says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, yeah, you're totally right. I think that's the issue.
It's definitely an issue because we're getting duplicate questions. It's just stupid. Sorry, guys. You know, we're trying to find a better solution. Adam says that we're going to test
Round
it
3 next week. Yeah, we got it. We'll test it, and we'll see if it works.
Okay. Definitely got to do something. Okay, so Greg's, I think even Discuss was better than this because at least Discuss didn't break entirely. So Greg says, using Press Advantage, I've noticed only around 2 syndicated press releases appearing in the Google Index when I published. Will I still get the same benefit power-wise from a press release submission if hardly any of the published articles show up as being indexed in Google? Yeah, okay, so it used to be, by the way, that's how that happened most of the time a long time ago. And then for whatever reason, what happens is a lot of them do get indexed, but they go into what's called the supplemental index, right? So Google will only show a handful or 1 or 2 that it determines are the most authoritative or the original sources or whatever, and it will show those in the index and put the rest in what's called the supplemental index. For example, if you search for the title of a press release or other content, and this could happen with syndicated blog posts, for example, then you'll see at the bottom of the search results where it'll say Google has omitted similar search results. And if you click that link, it will actually open up the supplemental index and will show you all of the others places that same content was published. So Google's aware of it. And we've done testing that, even with no indexed PBNs, for example, again, we don't use PBNs anymore, but we've done testing, and it's been a while since we've done it, but with no indexed PBNs, and yes, Google, it can still give you a bump. Right. So it's not, I didn't say de-indexed, but I said no indexed. Right. So supplemental index links, will they still help? As far as I'm aware, yes. Are they as powerful as those that would be indexed, in the regular index? I don't think so. And the reason why is because Google's looking at it as almost duplicate content. It's not that it's toxic, but it's just not that it's as helpful as what I'm saying. So that's one of the things that was being addressed by Quantum Newswire, which we did a promotion for recently, because they specifically are using a much smaller distribution network because of that reason. They're trying not to use as many distribution points that end up going into the supplemental index anyways. Now, that said, Greg, the local PR Pro method, which was essentially PR stacking and using press releases to get local results, it's still effective, although the method has evolved a bit. And it's about 2 years old now since we launched that course. And so I am going to update that again in probably the next 2 months. We're going to relaunch it with the new methods in a couple of months. Because specifically, like I said, it has evolved. You're in the mastermind. I've talked about this multiple times in the mastermind, Greg. I know you've missed that webinar or where I've talked about it, but we have talked about that in several occasions now over the last several weeks in the mastermind. But it still works. The local PR Pro method works, but it has evolved slightly in that I've noticed, and several of our members have noticed, Daryl's one of them who does a lot of PR stuff, that it requires more PRs and more consistent PRs before it kicks in the way that it used to with just 1 or 2, or, like I said, when we launched the course, I was able to get 80% results with 6 PRs or less. In other words, 15 out of 15 properties that I tested on, 12 of them, I was able to get into the Maps 3-pack within 6 press releases. So 6 press releases or less. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. If it's low competition, yes. But if it's moderately competitive or more, then it requires more press releases and more consistency, as well as, like I've always said, I believe it requires more diversity too, in that instead of just using one distribution service over and over and over, you can still get effects that way if you're stacking properly. And I'm not going to go over the specific method of how to stack properly right now here on a free Hump Day Hangout, because that'll be included in the update. And we can talk about that in the mastermind all you want, Greg. But if you stack properly now, you still can get really good results with just one distribution service, but it requires specific or a different interlinking method than what was, the original method, right? And so that's really the point is if you have additional distribution networks that you can use, that's going to help with diversity. You also want to stack properly, which just means changing it up a bit. Again, I can't cover that specific method here. But yes, I'm still using press releases as my primary off-page link building, direct to money site stuff. But I'm also doing a lot of powering up to assets using our link building service. The same link building service that you have access, Greg, through MGYB now, right? So again, it's about powering up specific entities. That's what the add ID loop is that we set up. Again, you can get that training in the mastermind. You've got that, Greg. I know you've got that, but you can build links like traditional links to that, spam type links, and it works really well, including some of the assets that we are able to produce using the press releases, right? So you power those up and you can get really good results too. As far as the indexing, it's not that big of a deal, whether they're indexed or not. Why do I say that? Well, because, for example, guys, syndication networks, we know syndication networks help. We can talk about that briefly too, by the way. I just recently set up a new project. I haven't done any link building to. I haven't done any content marketing. All I did was set up a website, right? And it was just a ClickFunnels page. And then I set up on a subdomain a WordPress installation for a blog. And that blog it just has the Hello World post on it still. And I updated the site, the blog site title, like the title tag and such. But I have not done any content marketing or any link building. I haven't syndicated any posts. Haven't done anything. But it's a specific company name. And I added, it's been about 3 weeks now that I've had that site up. And again, besides the ClickFunnels page, which has content, there's no content at all other than the Hello World post on the blog. And for that company name, if I were to search just last week for the company name, it showed up on like page 3 because there's a lot of other companies that have similar names, but it's not the same name. And so the site being a brand new site, brand new entity, was showing up at on page 3. So way back. Well, I had one of our VAs build me a syndication network for that company, for that brand. Cause it's, like I said, it's a new project that I'm just setting up. And they just delivered that syndication network to me on Thursday last week, so about 6 days ago. Well, on Monday, I went and checked. And guys, again, no posting has been done, no content marketing, no syndicated posts or anything. On Monday, I did a search for my company name in a incognito browser or in Firefox that was clean, and boom, #1 for that company name. Now, granted, I was searching for the company name, but it was on page 3 for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And then all we did was create a syndication network, and it, as Marco always talks about, solidified or validated the entity. And now it's showing as #1 for that brand search. So it just goes to show you that the syndication networks, although is a specific SEO tool for syndicating posts, is not as effective as it used to be 5 years ago, right? That makes sense. But it's still every bit as effective and as critical or as important because of what it does for validating the entity. And so the reason I brought that up was because the same thing goes with syndicating posts. We've for years, and Greg, you should know this because you've been with part of the mastermind for years. For years, people have asked, well, I'm not seeing my syndicated post URLs being indexed. I can't find them in the index. So this is useless. And I've said for years, no, that's not true, because whether they're indexed or not, it doesn't mean they're useless. Google knows they're there. And how do I know that Google knows they're there? Well, if your site is connected to Search Console and you go look at links to your site in Search Console, you'll see WordPress and Blogger and Tumblr and Delicious and, well, not so much more Delicious anymore, but Digo and all of the different sites that were in your syndication network. You'll see that they are listed in links to your site, and they'll show how many posts Google is aware of that are linking back to your site. So whether they're in the index or not, Google knows they're there, and it's counting them as links to your site. Does that make sense? So we know that they're powerful regardless. As long as Google knows they're there, yes, there is some benefit to having indexed links. There's no doubt. But there is still some benefit from non-indexed links too, as long as they're not de-indexed sites. Marco, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been talking about art and the art of art. Seems like forever now. At least a couple of years, ever since I saw the distance graph and what Google was doing as far as websites and how it was taking a look at the entity and relating everything to the entity. To what it was gauging is trust and authority. How many people do you trust, and then basically how many trust you? Not people, but websites. And what is the trust and authority of those websites that are linking to yours? And it's measuring that distance from seed sites and seed sets. I mean, I talked about this forever. I got tired of talking about it because nobody would listen. Maybe they'll start listening now. That I mean, we can completely see how Google, it wants the entity, it wants the brand. It does not like ambiguity, and ambiguity simply means that there are two things on the web that could be. I'll give you a perfect example of ambiguity. DC Glenn from Tag Team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tag team can also mean a tag team in wrestling. And that's what he's been having to deal with as far as ambiguity. When people search, which tag team are you referring to? So when you do a search for tag team, actually, Google gives you two options. Are you looking for tag team in wrestling, or are you looking for tag team, the hip hop group?
Or porn.
Google doesn't like ambiguity. It does not like two terms to be related to the same thing. And so what we have to do is this. First of all, don't create ambiguity. And if you do, you have to disambiguate. Fuck, $100 word for just something so simple as make it clear to Google what your entity is. Bind everything to your entity, right? It's verification, it's validation, and then solidification. That's what you have to do. And it just so happens that our syndication networks are some of the best tools out there for accomplishing this. But not only that, what I recommend is you take everything and you put that into a drive stack. Take all of your URLs in the place where they go in the drive stack, and then when you do the press release stack, you drop a link into that drive stack. And then when you go and do your link building, your link building follows your press releases, press release 1, press release 2, and so on. So that you're incrementally link building until the last one. And then the last one you hit hard so that everything just shoots through that link stream. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's absolutely nothing better for creating relevance, which is the other part of art, right? Activity, relevance, trust, and authority. Trust and authority we get from all of the link building and everything else. But creating everything in that drive stack and then getting Dedia to do his magic, because that fuck, I don't know how he does it, and I don't care. He just knows. He's been doing it for years. He knows what works. So I'm not going to tell him what to do because he's the master. But guys, seriously, man, this works like gangbusters. And then on top of that, to really put like the cherry on top, you put some traffic into it, some Google traffic. And that's when it really comes home, man. That's when everything really binds together, and because then it's people telling Google, yeah, this is the entity that I was actually looking for, which is one of the things that I'm working with DC Glenn on, right, on his entity. It's already validated. Now it has to be disambiguated from it's tough, right? Because a lot of people look for that for tag team and wrestling rather than tag team the hip hop group. We just have to get enough people to look at tag team the hip hop group to disambiguate. But anyway, a long-winded answer to yes, syndication networks work for the entity, but so does everything else that we recommend in our battle plan. Right? The battle plan is there for a reason. We follow it, and we've given you a step-by-step process on what it is that you need to do. Now, some of it will take multiple attempts so that you can push your keyword to where you want it to be, or you can hit the map pack, or you can hit the knowledge graph. You get rid of that 3-pack, become the knowledge graph for that keyword term. There's tons of things that you could do when you're pushing power, but it takes pushing the right amount of power in the right places. I've said my piece.
Very good. Facebook just completely locked me out of my fucking account. Unbelievable. I was just looking at my phone while you were talking. It's like this is twice now in 2 days. I don't understand. Are you guys all experiencing that shit too? If not,
I got locked out of Facebook too. Yes.
Unbelievable. Adam did too. Like, what the fuck? I hate Facebook. Anyways, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm tired of this already. This is really being stupid. By the way, Clint, thank you for posting that link since I'm unable to do it. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for being here. Any other words, guys?
No, we'll have a new comment system for everyone to test out next week.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks.
See ya.